So what should I do, asshole? Should I do a water fast or a fucking fat fast? And shit. As many of you who I'm sure were following on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, I recently did what I like to call a hybrid fast. And that's where you combine a fat fast, which is being able to consume 600 to 800 calories of fat a day with no more than 50 calories of protein and carbs. Pretty much fat only for the most part, but you're allowed a little bit if the proportion is right of protein, but not over 50 calories worth in a 4-hour period. But overall 600 to 800 calories. And I've done about 3 of these fasts, fat fasts long term. I've also sprinkled them in with my intermittent fasts in the past without any detrimental results. And so I wanted to kind of contrast the two during this fast by using the fat fast to get through the particularly difficult stages of a fast, and that it did yet again. I've done a 5-day fat-only fast. I've done a 6-day fat-only fast, all of which yielded up to a pound a day weight loss, just like a water fast. Although I will say a water fast does yield a little bit more weight loss, but it also comes at a catch. It also yields a lot more drop in metabolism, and I experienced this transitioning. So what I did on this fast, the original plan was to try and go 10 days. I fucked that up. I failed at that because I wasn't anticipating the drastic metabolic drop, and I started to generally feel like shit at the end of day 7. And then when it came time for me to decide, well, do I end it right here? I've been doing this 7 days. I've got a pretty good result. Got the lowest measurement at 34.5 inches at one point around the belly. And, getting, these results were awesome. I know I don't get to keep them, but the question is, how much do I get to keep? And that's how I judge a long fast. So, the verdict was in for me as far as, the 2 previous fat fasts and what I've done with the long water fast in the past, as I have multiple 5-day water fasts behind me. And the results of water fasting are misleading, I think, because every water fast I've done yielded awesome weight loss, was pretty fucking miserable, especially in the first 3 to 4 days. And ultimately, afterwards, the metabolic drop was so bad that I regained every last pound I lost. I was trying to break plateaus with them, and it turns out, in my opinion, that a long water fast will not crack a plateau, even on a ketogenic diet, it seems. You'll go right back to whatever set point you arrive at on a ketogenic diet. And on a standard American diet, the weight creep seems endless afterwards, as in you will regain shit tons of weight on a standard American diet, leading you to have to do another fast, and another fast, and another fast. Not so with keto. Keto, I will go up to my set point. I might even go a couple pounds over my set point. 3 or 4 pound plus or minus is about the range. And my metabolism ramps back up efficiently and keeps me at that set point. But the question is, how do we move the set point? Fuck master pounders just love to say, just go to the gym, you'll ramp up your metabolism. Not really. All that does is increase your energy expenditure. And if you don't feed that workout properly, as in you don't properly consume the amount of calories necessary to pay for that workout, and especially if you're lifting and doing that, you need to consume a little bit of excess so that you're putting muscle in place instead of fat. And, it's this whole thing. Going to the gym doesn't really raise your metabolism. I'm of the opinion you're more likely to tank your metabolism, as we cannot accurately, without a fucking pressurized chamber and a bunch of scientists with clipboards and shit looking at us all fucking day and then giving us little plates through a fucking slider every day while we ride the fucking bike, let us know exactly how many fucking calories we burn. No, we rely on My Fucking Fitness Pal, and we hope that the numbers in there for such and such fucking exercise, or the guesstimation based on our size and weight, somehow accurately predict our fucking BMR, which can shift plus or minus 500 calories based on your metabolism, that they accurately predict how much you burn while you're exercising, despite the fact that if your metabolism drops or if your endurance increases and you're able to more efficiently do the exercise without burning as many calories, none of these little interplays come into play in this system of trying to determine our caloric intake versus outgo, which is the entire reason why we shouldn't even bother counting calories. We should be weighing our end results, where we're at, where the belly measurements are, our hunger levels, our overall well-being and how we feel. And you can tell if your metabolism's down. It's not hard. You get cold, you don't feel like doing shit, you feel run down, you feel low energy all the fucking time when your metabolism's down. And you're hungry a lot when your metabolism's down. And if you don't eat the right things, the metabolism doesn't jump up very quickly. Especially if you're on the standard American diet, or you're a carb burner, as I like to call it. When you were relying on blood glucose and the hamster wheel that is that to get you through your day, and you're relying heavily on your glycogen stores, you're doing all of this fucking around with your calories, but you're not touching fat most of the time. You are just sitting there spinning your wheels because your metabolism shifts. It can go up and down. And it's what we eat that determines our efficiency and whether or not we can reach homeostasis. And everyone knows I'm a big keto fanboy now, and that's because I have found for me that keto ramps up my metabolism. If I overeat keto, I burn more sitting on my ass. I could only imagine if I was pounding the fuckmaster, but chances are that would probably put me in a fucking deficit and cause my metabolism to drop. Because I wouldn't be eating enough calories. I wouldn't be hungry enough to outpace a massive energy expenditure. So that's a curiosity that I'll have yet to deal with because I'm not pounding the fuckmaster right now. Not to say that there's not going to be a lot of physical activity this summer when I start hiking more, getting out more, and instead of being cooped up in this motherfucker all the time. So I guess what it comes down to is fat fasting. Now, I should, as I always, I got to reinforce who should fat fast and who should not fat fast. If you are fat adapted, you've been on a ketogenic diet for 6 to 8 weeks without cheating, and you've gotten off the blood glucose roller coaster that most people work on, your glycogen's fairly low, your blood ketones are flooding out from your liver to fill in the blood sugar gap so you don't get hungry from blood sugar drops. You don't get hypoglycemic from blood sugar drops. And they don't drop that much if you're diabetic for quite a while. You got to be keto for over a year, I think, before you start seeing numbers in the 70s on your blood sugar, which is what I see. If I do a blood sugar test while fat adapted, my blood sugar's in the 70s. If a diabetic gets to the 70s before they're ready, they're going to experience the symptoms. And a lot of diabetics get the dawn effect where, they're at 120, 130 when they wake up in the morning because cortisol and glucagon pull out sugar storage that was created mainly through gluconeogenesis to raise your blood sugar in the morning, and then it drops to the 90s later in the day. I've seen it countless times in my ex-girlfriend. I've seen it reported to me in multiple comments, but I've also had comments that tell me after a couple years of being on this that they've completely normalized, that they're no longer even close to diabetic. So it's something to keep in mind that these are long-term goals if you're looking to reverse some of these chronic diseases that are plaguing our society today. Overall, you should not fast if you are a carb burner. Now, why is that? Because when you are a carb burner, you are storing fat most of the time, and you're running off of glycogen on the times when you're not eating. And then once the glycogen gets low and the blood sugar starts to drop, the hunger ramps up, and you go out and find more motherfucking carbs to eat. That is a carb burner. A fat burner is pretty much normalized their hunger hormones, has full access to leptin. It's not getting blocked by as much insulin. And we also aren't a slave to the blood sugar, because when our blood sugar drops as a fat burner, ketones are released into the bloodstream and they fill in the gap for our brain, for all the organs, so that they have steady energy. If your organs are not getting energy, be it insulin resistance, be it not eating enough, be it a long water fast, it will slow down your metabolism. It'll go into a protective starvation, for bro science words that we're fucking looking for, mode that will allow you to survive. And it won't come out of that mode until it has ample energy. And if you do not cure the insulin resistance, if you do not get rid of that fat that's piling up all over our bodies and inside our fatty liver and all of the fat buildup that has caused this insulin resistance to begin with, along with constantly having full glycogen, if we don't take ourselves out of that cycle, we don't heal the insulin resistance, so that when we start eating again after a long water fast, we're still insulin resistant. We're still having to fucking keep our metabolism down, because our fat cells are going to be highly insulin sensitive at that point. And all of the food we eat after that fast, after losing all of that fat, is going to fucking bypass the cells that need it. And that's why your metabolism won't rise. You're essentially starving. I've talked about it before, about obese people essentially starving because their fat takes all the energy and their normal cells don't get shit. And that's the state we're fighting here. And keto, with intermittent fasting, cures that for all intensive purposes. So yeah, I don't have abs. I'm not, taking my shirt off in my fucking videos. But I know that I'm in my 180s, 190s. 180s most of the time now. It used to not be that way. It used to be 190s all the time, with maybe a long fast taking me into my 180s. Now my long fasts are taking me down to 182, with a 34-inch belly. So I'm seeing a downward trend in my set point based on this, but I'm taking my time. I'm not doing massively long water fasts. I'm experimenting with an easier way, a more flexible way of doing it, and that's where fat fasting has really come to play. Now, I want to read a message I got today on one of my blog posts on my Scott the Truck Driver Facebook page. Please go and check that out and give it a like. I post all my blog entries there, so if you want to keep up and you need something in the news feed, you can check there. Ultimately, Facebook doesn't pimp me out because I don't pay them, so if you were really interested in keeping up, you have to go and check either there or ScottTheTruckDriver.com every day, Monday through Friday, to see what the new post is in the blog. But in any case, Susan Dale, sorry if I fuck up names. I suck. I've continued to do the fat fasting and am still losing 2 pounds a week. In the middle of the fat fast, or when it's convenient, chilling out for the day, I make it a water fast day. This hybrid, mostly fat fast and occasional water fast is great. I started losing ½ pound per day. But like you said, Scott, I started to lose energy if I go more than 2 days water fasting. I've done 72-hour water fasts in the past. I'm still getting great results fat fasting, and it's so easy to do. Thanks again for all your help. And I noticed that during my 5-day and 6-day fat fasts, that I was not experiencing the metabolic drop. And consequently, I kept some of the weight lost during the fat fasts when I did the refeed period. Granted, the refeed period did contain intermittent fasting, ADF style, ADD style, that kind of stuff, alternate day diet style. So, you know, it's a matter of how fucking easy it is. You know, to me, now having done the hybrid, because it went downhill. It was all right for a couple days, just like she said. 2 days of water fast, and yeah. Keep it going. I'm going to 10, baby. You could see it in my post. Yes, I'm going to make it. Yeah. Shit. It went downhill pretty quickly. And I ended up being like, all right, I'm not going to sit here and suffer for the next 3 days, so I'm going to call it where it is. And that's what you should do. When your body's fucking telling you to stop, it's time to stop. And if you plow through multiple days and you don't address the fact that your body's trying to stop you, you're going to get even a more drastic metabolic drop. You're going to feel like shit, and you're not going to be happy. Now, I get a lot of people that tell me they do long fasts, and they get to certain stages where everything is fine. And I don't doubt them, but for me, there always comes a point, and it's a little further. Every time I do a longer fast, I seem to nudge the finish line a little further on to where I could probably pull off a 7-day water fast now if I wanted to suffer a little bit. But overall, it just doesn't feel great at certain points during the fast. There are points in the fast where you get the euphoria. You do have a lot more energy on a water fast because your digestive system's shut down. And that's a huge energy expenditure on the body. That's part of the metabolic drop of a water fast as well, is because you're not burning energy in digestion. Whereas if you're fat fasting, you're getting that energy burn in digestion. So it's kind of a little give and take there. But the fat fast gets you most of the way there, if not all the way there. You know, a pound a day is actually a little more aggressive. You know, the average long water fast over a long 30-day period tends to yield a 0.75 pound loss per day average over the course of the fast. So doing a 6-day fat fast and losing a pound a day, which is what happened that last time, and then not regaining all of it afterwards was pretty fucking substantial to me. And did this fast work? I have 2 weeks of refeeding to go, this hybrid fast. But how is it going to change what I do in the future? That's the question. So my plan for the future when it comes to longer fasts, I think I'm going to involve fat in them heavily. I don't like the metabolic drop. Now, I know there are reasons for doing long water fasts. They generally involve healing, and I don't dispute that. There are remarkable results that happen. You do get autophagy in the case of fat fasting. I don't deny that, but I do think it ramps up significantly when you are in that lower metabolic state because your cells need energy. So they're going to ramp up autophagy to help break down cells to get you more energy, amino acids, etc. Nothing's growing during a fast, so don't keep that in mind. So you're not, using protein to build shit. It's all tearing shit down in a fast. And I will do water fasts at length for those purposes. But I think if I were to do a 10-day fast, I would sprinkle in water fasts intermittently here and there, much like Susan says she did on her version of the hybrid fast. And she can take credit for that because I didn't even really think about that, you know. And that 2-day number does seem pretty straightforward. It does seem to be a good solid under 72 hours of water fasting number, because that's why 72 hours always tends to be the worst. Your digestive system shuts down. You might even go through a little bit of an energy crisis, especially if you're a sugar burner, a carb burner, not necessarily a sugar burner. But I kind of don't like going through the suffering as much. It doesn't make me a pussy. It makes me sensible. I've done long fasts. I know what goes into them. I know the psychological things that happen, like becoming more sensitive to food, which didn't happen during a long fat fast, but did happen shortly after switching over to the water fast on this fast. Only the first 4 days were fat. The rest were water of that 7 days. And sure enough, it was at the 72-hour mark of being on water that things got rough. I started to become more aware of food. I started to think about food more. And, in our current environment, it's hard not to. And, when you're walking around in public, you're going to be exposed to food. And just the psychological aspect is enough to give you a ghrelin spike, which is the other hormone that lets us know, hey, we can eat. And oftentimes we're trained by the time of day that we eat. If you eat at the same time every day, without fail, you will get hungry. No matter what diet you're on, you will get hungry at that same time every day, as your brain has that synced in there. It remembered that you ate at that time yesterday, so it's like, okay, let's pop some ghrelin out. Let's let them know, hey, motherfucker, here's your alarm. You don't need your fucking phone for this. I'll let you know it's time to eat and shit. Use every tool you have at your disposal when you're on this journey to make it easier and sustainable. I get a lot of people that still can't go past that 72-hour mark. They can't even get past going 36 hours. And over time, you do get better at that. But as I think, 72 hours on a water fast is a threshold. And you can cross that threshold with enough willpower. And you can pull off the 30-day water fast with enough willpower if you are medically supervised and making sure your shit's all fucking good to go. Do you have to get to the same place of somebody that's doing intermittent fasting, a ketogenic diet, and sprinkling in fat fasts here and there, that's kind of just smooth sailing? Yeah, they might not cross that finish line as quickly, because after a 30-day fast, you're going to be thin as fuck. But the person that took their time doing the easier versions will still get there. And you know what? They'll keep it. Because if you do a long water fast, you're not going to get to fucking keep it. You're just not. Even on a ketogenic diet. You might keep a lot of it. Depending on, how much you were. I'm talking about when you get down to the lower, where you're losing that last 10 pounds, of course. You're probably going to keep it if you're morbidly obese and you do a long water fast. I don't dispute that. If you have plenty of fat on board, there's plenty of energy for your cells, you might not experience as much metabolic drop as someone like me who's getting on the lower end of the scale and is starting to have parts of the body that have very little fat, and I'm targeting one area and the rest of my body's going, hey, we ain't got no fucking energy here, asshole. Time to lower the fucking metabolism. Come on. If you have a shit ton of weight, I still think long water fasts should be in your arsenal if you can do them without issue. But once you're getting down there, you got parts of your body that don't have body fat. You can see fucking veins and shit. But yet you still have a lot in this fucking trunk area, so to speak, or in the other trunk. Then you're targeting this, but there's going to be parts of your body that are going to be like, hey, we're not getting energy. All right. Hey, brain, by the way, no energy here, dickhead. Come on, shut down. Let's go. And that's why I'm going to favor the fat fasts over the water fasts long term in the future. But intermittent fasting, under 72 hours, still going to be a regular part of my life and shit. But what the fuck do I know? Because I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Please like and subscribe for more shit. And I'll make all kinds of shit. All kinds. Also, if you thought this video was valuable in your weight loss journey, and maybe you saved a few $1,000s on pharmaceuticals, or maybe you're spending half the amount of money on food because you're doing all this fasting, and you'd like to throw a few bucks to help keep this channel going to where I can make more content and spend less time doing other shit for money, there's a tip jar in the description. But that's not the only way. You can also go to Patreon. Some people prefer that still. It's, a monthly thing, and as one subscriber put it, they don't have to think about it. They just, do it. And there's also, of course, I'm a Amazon affiliate, so if you purchase anything through my recommended products on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, there's also some search links interspersed in there, and you want to buy something that is related to fasting and related to minimalism or anything else, or how I shoot my videos or my photography or anything, that is growing, and you can go there and check that out, and that also helps the channel. And you really don't skip a beat because you would have bought the shit anyway, probably. So, you can also just watch all my videos, share them with friends, subscribe, click the little bell icon. That also supports the channel. So does going to ScottTheTruckDriver.com and reading my daily blog. It's really a good, keep in touch with everything I'm doing, things I'm thinking about, things I'm doing for the channel, things I'm not doing for the channel, when I have other things going on, when my next live stream's going to be, which I'm shooting for this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully that will be my next live stream. And I haven't locked it in yet, because I don't have a topic yet. I'm working on the topic. There's a couple of people competing for, which topic to address, because I do have a large inbox of comments and research and questions that I'm currently combing through and putting together videos and live streams using. So there's that. There is going to be a couple more videos this week that are as a result of questions you guys have sent in, or research, or videos you've linked to, along with some stuff that has popped up in my own feed that I think is a valuable resource to help you along your fucking journey. And the next video, we're going to get into the high LDL and shit. A lot of ketos get to the point where their LDL goes up. All their other markers get better. HDL gets better, triglycerides get better, but then they see that LDL number and they're like, oh shit, I'm going to die. I'm going to have a grabber. We're going to address that in a video this week, and that is largely due to a letter I received through a contribution in Patreon. A contributor on Patreon sent me this letter, so I'm going to go ahead and thank him for his support by making a whole video to answer his question. I know there are a lot of contributors, and I know there are a lot of people that, submit stuff, and I try to get to everything, but I can't always get to everything. I do the best I can with what I got. I'm continuing to improve my workflow so that I can get to more and more of your guys' feedback. Of course, that's what the live streams are mainly designed to accomplish, and that's why they're so long. So, thank you for those of you who have supported the channel. We're going forward into 2018 strong, and there's a lot that I'm planning for the channel this year as far as minimalist travel, budget travel. I might even start sprinkling in some, I know I've been talking about it for a few years and haven't done it, but I might start talking a little bit more about photography and videography, as I'm really interested in learning videography right now. I'm going to be experimenting with, some flying the DSLR as far as using a steady cam or fly cam, or, one of those fucking things that you see the professional motherfuckers running around with and making shit smooth and shit. Well, I want to do some more cinematic filming this year for this channel, for both adventure videos or maybe just doing a more documentary style on the topics that we have, going out into the world and making a film, much like many of the documentaries you see on these topics out there, interviewing people here and there, and this will involve minimalist travel in the process. So I have to combine all of these things. I got big, grandiose plans, not quite the budget to pull them off yet, but I'm working on it. So, thank you guys for fucking watching and shit. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for being patient. It took me a while to pump out the St. Lucia video over the weekend. I am trying to dial down my hours to 40 hours a week because I do work other jobs on top of this, and I've kind of need to bring in a little more money right now to pay for some of the extra gear that I've had to do, and of course the car. So there's that. So thank you once again. And also, and this is very important, if you do nothing else, anything else I say, have a nice motherfucking day. And shit. More fucking shit. And fat fasting's great if you're fat adapted. If you're a carb burner, well, I don't know what to tell you. It's probably bad for you.